So I wanted to make this video because last week we had a great result from a lot of our clients that we have brought on board, and I wanted to talk through what the reason for that was. And no, it's no complicated workflows. No, it's not an AI agent. No, it's not something convoluted or complex. It's actually very simple and it's available to everyone. And that is your offer. And a lot of people would dismiss the offer because it is so simple and they feel that it has to be so much harder than that to get results from their campaigns. Whether that's you're using the channel of LinkedIn, email ads, or calling, your offer usually does a lot of the heavy lifting and helps you to then reduce the amount of complexity or the need for someone to really work hard to secure a meeting. Now, there are varying types of offers, right? And varying degrees of ask that you are going to be communicating to the client. So if you're asking them to jump on a call, that means the value has to be far greater. If you're just asking them to download something, then it's far less of an ask because it will take 2 minutes of their time. Where most people go wrong is that they're looking for a meeting and they will not understand the reason, the underlying factors of value, and they'll misunderstand what is the value that they need to communicate. So an example of this is a lot of companies will go, do you know what we're going to do is a free workshop. We're going to do a free consultation session. And they see that as the value and they go, look, we would usually get paid thousands of pounds for this. So surely that's something super valuable to someone that will get them jumping off their seat like that, and they'll love it. The problem with that, and this comes down to something called jobs to be done, which is that you have to think about what your prospects got on their stack of to-dos, and you want to take away from their stack of to-dos, not add to them. So sometimes when you say consultation call workshop, it's something that's going to add to their to-dos. Now, not saying that it can't work. Of course, anything can work if you've got it packaged the right way. But my point is that when you're suggesting that, it's not necessarily helping them get rid of something. It's usually adding something on, or at the best scenario or best case, it gives them a bit of a better view of things. And you could argue that, do you know what? It's, the access to information they get is going to save them loads of time and yada, yada, yada. But that's not typically how a prospect sees it. They want something done, and you have to look and figure out what is that thing that they want done. And this goes into what is the kind of things that you have to be aware of. So number one is you need to understand what is the painful problem they're having right here, right now. So there's two things that you have to bear in mind: is what is the problem and the timing of it. Yeah. So um, the and I'll go through kind of, it's not just that, but it's looking at what your goal is off the back of the ask, right? So we'll get into this because if you're working in a space and it's a highly complex deal and you're charging hundreds of thousands for it, sometimes it's more of a question of just building the relationship and not necessarily trying to secure the deal right there and then. In other instances, lower ticket items, or 5,000, 10,000, there's something there that you can offer that will help jump people onto calls and start experiencing your service so that you move them closer to a purchasing decision. Now, number one is the painful problem. So you have to think about your prospect, think about their situation. What are they going in or going through in their day to day? Especially, and this is number two, how it's linked to what you actually sell. So if you work backwards from what it is that you actually sell and why they need what you actually sell, and then the precursors to what it is that will constitute the situation they'll be in, then you can start offering bite-sized micro offers that allow them to start solving for that problem that might be a big thing, but in smaller ways, so that you build them up to working together with you. Right? So one is solving a painful problem. Number two is actually having something, an offer that is linked to what it is that you mainly sell, right? Because no point selling something that, or sharing something that there's this thing, but you do this completely different thing over here. Um, and then last, and this is probably the biggest factor why a lot of people run offers and it doesn't work, is you want to offer something they would otherwise pay for. And this is the biggest perceived risk from a lot of clients we speak to, is that they feel that they're going to attract a lot of tire kickers, or they'll do work for free. And because of this, they steer clear of it. They play it safe. And by playing it safe, they're actually increasing the difficulty of actually getting something to work. So when they then send out emails or LinkedIn messages or whatever it is, ads, it doesn't hit because they have required the heavy lifting not to be done by the offer. So therefore, it has to be done somewhere else along the chain. That's either going to be they're going to have to increase the amount of follow-ups they do. They're going to have to increase the amount of channels they use and the complexity of the communication. So, for example, if you pick up the phone and you speak to someone, you don't necessarily need a smash hit offer because you've got them on the phone and you can have a dialogue back and forward. But if you're sending out an email and you're in an inbox that is cluttered, then the offer has to do a lot of the heavy lifting, or you're going to have to go out to so many people to get that to be done. So you have to start thinking about what are the things that you can offer that would otherwise be paid for. And when you've got this aligned, you'll start getting responses back like, this is perfect timing. We've just been thinking about that. This sounds interesting. That gives you the leading indicators that you've got something that is actually genuinely valuable to the marketplace. And that's something that you can scale up and you can use other channels to reach out to more people with. So you have to start looking at your actual offer and then breaking it down. As I mentioned, if you're trying to get someone on a call, the offer is going to have to be far more valuable, and the perception of the value has to be far greater. So people are going to have to feel like they can get this done. And side note here is that if you offer something super valuable, because this is where some people find a risk, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to give it to everyone that you offer it out to. You can qualify. You can make sure that it is the right person that you're going to be doing the work for and you're delivering this crazy offer for, so that you make sure that when they receive the offer, you've actually got potential of business on the back end. Otherwise, yes, it doesn't make sense, and you want to make sure that you've got good qualification metrics there in place before you run something like that. Otherwise, yeah, you'll be doing work for everyone, and no business will come out of it. But if you qualify, then you've got something there. And you then look at the varying degrees. If your ask is not necessarily, hey, we want to book in a meeting, hey, we just want to get some people to raise their hands, then that's a different matter altogether. You don't need to do something crazy like do some work for free. You can actually just offer a checklist, a guide, something that's like a workshop, like a webinar. So these are the things on this side where you can get some raised hands, where people feel like, okay, there's not a lot of my time or commitment needed. So even with, let's say, a webinar, people can subscribe to it. Doesn't necessarily mean they have to watch it and be there in attendance. Whereas when someone books in a call, they have to be there physically, definitely, for it to happen. So there's a different level of commitment. And you kind of want to look at the types of prospects you're going out to and then decide for you what type of approach you want to take. In an ideal world, you have both, right? You have a way to attract the attention of many, yeah? So sometimes this offer that you create isn't going to get everyone interested. It will get a specific few who are in the buy now zone, and the rest, they won't really find it of interest because it's not going to be something relevant for them. However, maybe these people are people you want to start be letting them know and bringing them into your ecosystem, your environment. And that's why I'm a big fan of experiences, of roundtables, of webinars, of groups, because this allows you to start building experiences that, whilst people may not be ready right now, you've started to have the conversation, you've started to build the relationships, because typically a majority or a portion of your total addressable market will then move and shift every 3 months or so. So if you can attract a lot, and then if you want to really stack the chips in your favor, have something that has that conversion capability of a, a hot offer, then you've got something that helps you start conversations with as much of your total addressable market as possible, and then convert the ones that are ready because you've made it a no-brainer for them to get started with you. And that's what you have to start considering, and maybe one of the biggest levers in your business that you can pull outside of everything else. AI agents are great, but it only will maximize your ability to be good or bad. It's just going to increase the ability to do that. So if you want to look at how this is done for your business, if you are relying on partnerships, referrals, if that's or your outbound isn't working as much as you'd like it to be, maybe it's hit missed target a few months in a row or a few quarters in a row, and you want to look at how we do this for your own business, specifically for you, then reach out to us. We'll be able to share some insights, some examples of what we've done, give you some food for thought, and also help you craft a roadmap and action plan that you can take and work on it on yourself. So, with that said, peace out. Catch you in the next one.